Hello everyone, Ember here, and welcome back to a new video. In this one I'm going to be looking at a bunch of new cards that were revealed from the set Temporal Forces. So nearly 50 cards were revealed, so very exciting, and we can probably just get straight into it. So we do have a new Metagross line, which is fantastic. Unfortunately, Metagross itself isn't that good. However, it does have the attack Meteor Mash, which might be alright if we ever get, like a Metagross EX. So this could be a good single price support option. But until we get a Metagross EX, I think this card is a tad underwhelming, which is a bit sad. But the Metang, however, has the ability Metal Maker, which will allow you to look at the top 4 cards of your deck once in your turn, and choose any number of basic metal energy you find there, and attach them to your Pokemon in any way you like. So this is effectively a smaller version of the Astral Radiance Magenzone's ability, which is really cool. So it's a bit more, well, it's a bit more consistent in that it's a stage 1 and it's not a stage 2, but you're also seeing 2 less cards than the Astral Radiance Magenzone. So it is a bit annoying in that sense, but this will still be a fantastic replacement for Metal Energy Acceleration. And I think this might actually be the best way to accelerate Metal Energy, in Standard at least. This is also like the best Metang for GLC, which is really cool. But other than that, I don't think the ability is super great. We do have that Sporto card coming out, Codebreaker, that will allow you to search your deck for 2 cards and put them on the top of your deck. So you can, at the very least, guarantee 1 or 2 energy attachments, which is nice. But, overall, I don't think this card is super crazy. It's a decent ability, though, and I do expect it to see at least some use at some point. But as of right now, I don't think it's going to be seeing a whole bunch of play. But yeah, Metagross definitely need a Metagross EX. We also have a Raichu line because we need a Raichu in every 2 sets. And it has the attack Winding Bolt that does 50 damage to each Pokemon with damage counters on them, other than this Pokemon. So you have to know that this will hurt your own Pokemon if they have been damaged. So this is definitely going to be like a single prize spread deck kind of card. And although we lose Flaffy to rotation, sadly, we still have stuff like Reverse Energy, because you're probably never going to take a prize card until you've, board wiped your opponent. And you probably want to take all your prizes in one turn anyway. So I'd imagine this could be paired up with something like Miss Magius, potentially. So you just use Miss Magius once or twice and then try and board wipe them after that. Maybe you try and boss stall something like a Pokemon with 2 or more retreat costs. So I definitely think there are ways to play Raichu. It's not going to be as consistent without Zoroark Box and stuff, but yeah, at the very least you have options. Also you have like Generator, I guess, to charge up energy if you really want to. So yeah, nothing too bad there. We also have a new Wiglet, which is always nice, and the star of the show himself, Wugtrio EX, which is very anticipated. I think a lot of people will be trying this out. But 250 HP tower type, so a bit on the low side actually for stage 1 HP. I'm not sure if this is actually the lowest stage 1 we've seen, but certainly one of the lowest. 250 lightning type, has the attack Triac Pump, I think it's pronounced. For 1 water energy, discard 3 energy cards from your hand, choose one of your opponent's Pokemon, and 60 for each energy card you discarded in this way. So honestly, a pretty good attack. It has decent synergy with, Goldengo. It also has good synergy with Basculegion, which I believe isn't rotating as far as I'm aware. It might be rotating, I'll have to double check that, but hopefully that's not rotating. But, it also has good synergy with stuff like Palkia. I think Baxcalibur, you're probably pushing it, unless this is like a 1-1 line in a Baxcalibur deck. But in all honesty, I think this is mainly just like a Palkia B-Barrel partner, as opposed to a Baxcalibur partner, but still really cool to see. Unfortunately, it doesn't really have a whole lot of synergy with like the Millwork trio, which everyone loves, but I still think this will be a fun deck nonetheless. It is kind of cool. The HP is a bit low, sadly, but yeah, could be a fun card to use. Then we have a new Gengar line. Love the ghastly art. But Gengar EX has the ability Corroding Curse. It says, whenever your opponent attaches an energy from their hand to one of their Pokemon, place 2 damage counters on that Pokemon. So useless against Mirage Gate and Charizard, of course, sadly. But it is still pretty good against Baxcalibur decks. It is pretty good against just any deck that wants to ramp up energy from the hand. So also, obviously, just like manual attachments as well would be decent. Sadly, stuff like Sada will get around this. But even if your opponent has to place 2, maybe even 4 damage counters on themselves with a Roaring Moon deck, then they won't be able to survive a hit from their own first attack, which is kind of relevant sometimes. So I do think his ability is pretty good. It'll also help with Trick Step actually doing a reasonable amount of damage. So yeah, not a bad ability to have, to be honest. And the attack Trick Step itself, for 2 dark, does 160. and you get to move an energy from your opponent's active Pokemon to one of their benched, which is pretty solid. You still two-shot most things, and then, the ability will help you get up there damage-wise. Moving energy it's meh, really. I think I'd rather just discard it, because if you move the energy, it still means that if you want to like boss stall something, then your opponent can still use that Pokemon as a pivot. But still, I think moving energies is acceptable. It forces your opponent to reattach, of course, but bumping it to hand would have been significantly better, at least in my opinion. But yeah, Gengar, still a very cool card. Surprised it has such a high retreat cost as well, actually. But yeah, I definitely think this Gengar will be very fun to experiment with, at the least. Now, unfortunately, Shiftry fans hoping for a really good Shiftry again will have to wait a bit longer, because this attack is just, it's just not great. The second attack is okay, I guess, 140 for 2 colors, but yeah, it's not brilliant, shall we say. Needing your opponent to have 5 bench Pokemon just to do anything is, it's a bit meh. It's a shame, but yeah. We do, however, have a rather promising single prize stage 2 in the form of Relegator. Not sure when the last time this Pokemon got a card, actually. Probably in like the Sun and Moon era or something. But yeah, has the ability Torrent Heart, which says you may place 5 damage counters on this Pokemon. If you do, this Pokemon's attack, do 120 more damage. So 160 becomes 280, which is pretty relevant. That's going to KO a lot of things, and with some modifiers, you can definitely get up to stage 2 EXs. So yeah, for 2 energy as well on a water Pokemon. So you can use like Irida. You could also use like the Buddy Poffin as well, as people have mentioned, to find Totodiles. There's also like Arvin as well for additional Rare Candy support. We've got Colorless Experiment anyway. Definitely think this card has at least some potential. This is the kind of card that if it does nothing, then I think we might as well just give up on stage 2 single prize Pokemon at this point, because 280 for 2 energy on a single prizer is wild. Like, that's an awful lot of damage. Sure, you're not KOing like Charizard, but very few things can actually KO Charizard. So yeah, and there's obviously going to be turns where you don't even need to place the 5 damage counters, but I mean, you might as well. Like, even the effect of you next turn you can't use Great Wave, I mean, who cares? You only have 180 HP, you're probably getting KO'd anyway. Ramping energy will be quite difficult without Raihan, admittedly. We'll have to find another way to ramp energy. Maybe like Energy Sticker is probably your best bet or something, which is a bit flippant, but I still think this could be really fun. Along with Gengar, actually, along with Wugtrio, I should say as well. Definitely a lot of really fun decks coming out of this set so far, so yeah, really, really excited to try out this budget deck. I think this could be like the next true budget stage 2 deck, so yeah, very excited for that card. Then we have Whimsicott, which has the ability Lifting Heal that says when it evolves, so kind of a mare ability to have really, but when it evolves, you can heal all damage from your active grass Pokemon. If you do, discard all energy. I really dislike this ability. I don't know why it wasn't for just discard 2 energy or discard 1 energy, but healing all damage just so you have to discard all energy is just, it's really annoying. Like, in a stall deck, theoretically, this is good because you can like loop them and just continuously do it and be like a max potion, but in practice, that's probably way too clunky to get off. Like, if you could just use this once in a Venusaur deck, and like, I don't know, you didn't have to discard all the energy, then you could still attack with Venusaur and you could still get somewhere, but no, I don't think this card is very good. Like, yeah, sure enough, Meowscarada only needs 2 energy to attack in the first place, but you can reattach double turbos and whatnot, but I still don't think Whimsicott will be seeing much play, which is a shame, because I like Whimsicott, I like grass Pokemon, I think they need more support, but this sadly is not it, which is a shame, but yeah. Also, we have Relincanth, which has the really cool ability Deepen Memories, also some very cool artwork. Each of your evolved Pokemon can use any attacks from its previous evolutions, however, you still need the necessary energy. Very, very cool attack. We have plenty of basics in stage 1s which have cool moves. We even have some like Littens and Torracats that have really cool like reprisal moves and such, which are very fun to use. Also, like one example that people have been like really pointing out is Giratina V-Star can copy Shred. So now it can do Shred for 3 energy and not, do Lost Impact, for example, and send 2 energy to Veloso. So yeah. So it's kind of like a bit of a buff to, I guess, Arctina, if that deck's still a thing post-rotation. But yeah, just something to bear in mind if you're interested in that deck. But then we have an Incineroar line. Sadly, no Primarina. Primarina gets 0 love in the TCG. Incineroar, 320 HP, so already quite bulky, which will matter if you hope to use Magma Basin, because, let's be honest, you probably want to. Has the ability Adversity Act. Attacks used by his Pokemon cost 1 colorless less for each of your opponent's bench Pokemon. And then Blazing Bomb for a whopping 5 energy does 240 and your opponent's active is now burned. So you're effectively doing 260 no matter what. You only be doing 240 against a Roaring Moon if they have that capsule thing attached to it, or any other ancient Pokemon I should say. But still, 240 is enough damage to KO most of them anyway, especially if you can get like Lost Vacuum involved, so it shouldn't matter basically. But yeah, very, very strong, efficient card. Should note that Adversity Act just decreases overall attacks, not just Blazing Bomb. So if you want to use any of the TMs, so like TM Evolution, TM Devolution, or like the Crisis Shot TM that's coming out, that does 280 for 3 colors if your opponent has 1 prize left, that's going to be really good. And because your opponent is probably playing, well, at least 3 Pokemon onto their bench, like realistically, most decks can't get away without benching at least 2 or 3. So this is still 240 or 260 for 2 or 3 energy. Seems really efficient, to be honest. Like this card seems really good. There's not too many modifiers outside of that. You could use like Rapidash, I guess, to boost the damage even further. Or you could get like really, really spicy and try and fit in Skeledirge to do plus 60. But, that's probably a wee bit too inconsistent, but I guess there'll be someone out there who wants to try it. Me, probably, but, Anyway, it doesn't matter. Either way, Incineroar EX definitely could be fun. I definitely think this falls into the category of, even if this isn't great, it's still going to be a really fun rogue deck. Just like Gengar, just like Wugtrio, just like the Fratigator, all could be very fun rogue decks. So yeah, pretty cool to see. Then we see a Girafarig with Psy damage, which might be a decent attack rather to use if you want to use the Rattlecanth, but Fari Giraffe, I want to say his name is. I just don't know what this Pokemon's name is. It's been a while since I've seen this guy. 260 HP, Dark type, Terra type Pokemon, so alright, means you can use Dark Patch if you really wanted to, but you have Psychic Energy in the attack cost, so that's kind of annoying. Has the ability Armor Tail, says prevent all damage done to Pokemon by attacks from your opponent's basic Pokemon EX, which is pretty cool. It means stuff like Raging Bolt, which is kind of anticipated to be a good deck, even though I think it's kind of mid right now. But, Raging Bolt, Gouging Fire, Roaring Moon, I guess, Iron Valiant, all those kind of attackers will not be able to damage you, which is really cool. It does mean that, like, future decks also have to find a Stage 1 attacker, really, but yeah, I think this ability is pretty strong. There won't be a Zorok deck post-rotation, so you won't be able to just tag this in, sadly, but either way, I still think this could be a very useful ability to have. Also, the attack Sneaky Beam does 160 and then 30 snipe. It's not the worst thing ever, but, maybe this is like a quad deck or something with Crushing Hammers and some more disruption that we'll see later on this video. Just an idea. Let me know what you think about this guy down below. I don't think it's terribly crazy, but it's not, like, bad either. Then we get into some rather spicy single prize options. We have Roaring Moon that does 70 and then 10 more for each ancient Pokemon in your discard pile. Or ancient card, sorry. So that's at least a bit better. I thought that was ancient Pokemon, but no. Ancient card, pretty decent because we can use Earthen Vessels and the Explorer's Guidance to discard a lot of cards. However, you're not really doing that much damage. Even if you put like 10 cards in the discard pile, that's still only doing 170. I know I'm saying like only doing 170 for 2 Dark Energy, but then you have to like charge these up with, well, I guess you have Sada and Dark Patch, and the more Sada you play, the better your attack will be, which is kind of cool. And Live does, fortunately, like one of the cool things about Live is it does tell you how much damage you're going to do that turn. You don't have to do it out in your head, which is cool. Do appreciate Live for that. So yeah, Vengeful Feathers isn't the worst attack ever, but I also think this Crydon might be slightly better, funnily enough. It's a shame this isn't for Dark Colors. I know they definitely wanted to avoid too much synergy between the Pokemon, otherwise that would have been maybe a bit too good or something, but yeah, I do like this attack. I think it's pretty cool. We have like Brute Banette as well as the capsules, so yeah, it'll be fun to mess around with, basically, but I don't think it'll be anything crazy, of course. Still quite fun, though. Also, we have like more Peko to do that first hit and then conserve energy, but yeah, still pretty cool. Then we have Crydon, which for fighting in a colorless does 30 for each of your ancient Pokemon in play. So we just get 3 Pokemon in play, we're doing 90. Not the worst thing ever, to be honest. If we can do 120, that's even better. We have access to Brute Bonnet as well to do a bit of poison chip damage. This attack is alright. It's okay. I think it's decent. It's nothing like amazing. The Shred attack is nice. That's nice to have. But yeah, the first attack I don't think is anything too crazy, but it shall be fun to mess around with. This plus like Brute Bonnet and maybe some other ancient Pokemon. You play a bunch of Sadas. We've got a bit of a rogue deck going on here, but yeah, should be pretty fun. We also have a bit of a meme deck, and I will say meme with great emphasis because this is not a great card, but it's still a fun card. Great Tusk, Crust Collapse, so you have to mill one for double colors, which already isn't great. But if you played an Ancient Supporter card, so aka Sada or Explorer's Guidance, discard 3 more cards from the top of their deck. So you do get to mill 4, right? Like mill 4 is fine for a double turbo, it's basically what Durant does. But you still have to play an Ancient Supporter card every turn. Now, we do have to play Sada anyway, just to ramp up energy. I mean, we have like double turbo, but you probably want to make use of Sada regardless. So maybe this is like a mill 4 effect. We are going to see some more like mill focused cards later on this video. So there is going to be more synergy for Great Tusk, but it still seems too risky to me. Like, I don't feel like you're milling nearly enough cards in this day and age, but still, could be fun. Could be fun. Hope to be proven wrong. But yeah, we also have another single prize Iron Valiant to take a look at. Calculation is nothing crazy. Then Majesty Sword does 100, and if you played a Future Supporter, so Codebreaker is probably the best one, then this attack does 100 more damage. So 200 for double Psychic Colors isn't bad. It's not bad at all. Especially when you consider we have Iron Crown and Future Booster Capsule to boost that damage all the way up to like 260, 280 potentially even. That's not terrible. That's definitely not that bad. So pretty solid single prize option, I'd say. Maybe Iron Jugos is just better overall, but yeah, this is definitely a one to keep an eye on, I'd say. Definitely could be cool. We also have some energy acceleration for our future Pokemon, which is really cool. This Miraidon will be rivaling Iron Treads for that role. 40 damage for a single colorless, and then search your deck for 2 basic energy, attach them to your future Pokemon any way you like. So you can either ramp up for Sparking Attack, which does a whopping 160, which is quite a lot for a single prize basic to be doing, to be fair. But 40 accelerating 2, yeah, definitely sets up Iron Valiant very nicely. We also have Iron Treads, which if it has a capsule can be both fighting and metal, which again, I would say is pretty good to do 2 different types of weakness. 60, definitely a bit better than 40, but move 1 energy from this Pokemon to one you benched. Good. It's just a good attack. I don't think this card will be crazy good. It'll see like some niche play. I think this Miraidon is substantially better in many ways, but still, Iron Treads, I don't think it's bulk either. To be honest, none of these feel like complete bulk, which is nice to see. We can at least get some uses out of them. But then finally, we have some trainers to look at. So we have Order Box, search your deck for 2 item cards, reveal them, put them in your hand, your turn ends. I don't really know what to think of this card because on the one hand, it feels just really good for the first turn of the game, but being exposed to Iono like that seems a bit risky. I know in some decks, you won't care if you get Ionoed or not, but maybe this could be good. Like, you also have Arvin as well to find this card, which is nice. Could do this card experiment as well to help track it down. I don't know, I think this could be okay, especially if you don't have like a good turn 1 going second attacking option. Maybe in like a stage 2 deck, you could use this to find rare candies and such. So yeah, maybe this could be okay. Hand Clippers, both players discard cards until they have 5 cards in their hand. So you think about all those weird situations where your opponent, like you mulligan like 15 times or something. The opponent draws 15 extra cards, for example, and then you can Hand Clippers them all the way down to 5 cards. So they discard 10 cards from their hand. Pretty funny card to use in an Arvin deck. Is it going to be crazy? Probably not, but if, for example, you want to do something really funny with this, you could get like Fortress EX to KO itself, and so your opponent takes 2 prize cards. And then if they already had a big hand before doing that, then you could maybe KO 2 Fortress EX. So your opponent's just drawn 4 cards. If you already have like a decently big hand, then you could force them to discard a lot of cards from their hand. So I do think this has a place in some decks. It is quite funny, could be quite fun. We also have Emergency Board, which reduces retreat cost by 1 colorless, which is very nice. We'll be playing Lost Zone, very, very good card. If that Pokemon has 30 HP or less remaining, however, it has no retreat. Interesting, very interesting. It means that Roaring Moon will get free retreat, which is kind of funny, but we probably want Ancient Booster Capsule on Roaring Moon anyway. But either way, I still think this effect is really solid. Definitely, we'll see play. It's just a good card, basically. Not much else to say. Bianca's Sincerity. Heal all damage from your Pokemon with 30 HP or less remaining. Hyper niche. It just feels very, very niche. It's a cool effect, don't get me wrong, but how often will you ever get to that stage? At least Emergency Board has a passive good effect before you get to that effect, but yeah, this is kind of, I think, a bit too awkward, sadly. Then we have Eri. or Eerie. It says look at your opponent's hand to choose 2 item cards you find there and discard them. So like rare candies, nest balls, I guess. Could be pretty decent, especially after your opponents just play like an order box or something. But yeah, I don't think Eerie's a terrible card, especially not in control decks, of course, where you can find it quite easily. So yeah, could be pretty decent. Then we have the 2 new Talk of the Towns, which are the upcoming A specs, and we now only have 1 more A spec to go before like we have all of them from the set. So are they any good? Drum of Awakening, draw a card for each of your ancient Pokemon in play. I think that's pretty good, to be honest. I do think that's pretty good. You know, you want to have like at least 2 Roaring Moons plus a Brute Bonnet in play, so that's draw 3. Or, you know, in a Raging Bolt deck, you want to have 2 or 3 Raging Bolts plus like a Sandy Shock CX. You could draw 3 or 4 cards with Drum Awakening. That sounds pretty good, to be honest. I do think this card is pretty decent. Reboot Bot also says, for each of your future Pokemon in play, choose 1 basic energy from discard pile and attach it to that Pokemon. So sadly, I thought initially this was attach the energy in any way you like, which admittedly would have been quite broken. But effectively, what this means is that if you, say, have 3 future Pokemon in play, you can accelerate 3 energy. However, you can only put 1 energy on each of those Pokemon, which is a bit of a shame because there is stuff like Iron Crown, which you probably won't want to attack with most of the time. So it does feel kind of like wasted energy in a sense, even though energy in play is still really good. So yeah, you could get like energy switch involved as well as like manual attachments still. Very, very good card, of course. We'll have to like see just how good it is because, you know, we have to get the energy in the discard pile first for it to be good. But we do have like Earthen Vessel, we have Explorer's Guidance, we have Curlia, we have Radiant Greninja is the best one right now. So yeah, very, very good card, I think. The Iron Crown, Iron Valiant will definitely be a deck at this point. So yeah, that's definitely the energy acceleration that deck was missing. Then we also got a bunch of illustration rares from cards we have definitely talked about today or in other videos. But yeah, it's been our power. Let me know what you think about these reveals down below. Bit of a longer video, but yeah, thank you for watching.